But yes, we are here now to do some watercolour painting. Now, welcome to the studio, and this is going to be a lovely thing to do over the next 30 to 40 minutes. Easter is upon us. In fact, as I'm filming this, it's actually Good Friday tomorrow, 2024. What I've got here is the sketch. I've got a sheet of 1/4 Imperial watercolour paper, which is all sketched in ready. I'm going to pop that just down here. We'll take a look at the overhead camera. Well, this is the sketch. This is the sketch for the project. I'm going to pop it on the screen right there. That's better. You can see that sketch, can't you? And that is the sketch of this springy, Eastery time cottage. So do make sure, if you want to paint along with this, that you take a screen grab of this. If you're not sure how to do a screen grab, just get yourself onto Google and you can ask the question, how do I do a screen grab? It's quite a straightforward thing to do. So it's a vignette, it's a watercolour vignette is what I'm going to paint here, which is very much so working with the old principle of faded edges, okay? That's what it's all about. Just like the Okie Dokie. Is it not? Now, if you're not sure how to take a screen grab, there's 1,000 different ways to do that. Depends on what device. Your best bet is just ask the question via Google. That's what I always say to people. Here's the palette. Ready to go. The palette's there, all ready to go. Primed and ready. As far as colours, I mean, it's pretty much primary colours. You could use primary colours quite happily for this. I'm probably going to sneak in a few of the colours on this, which we'll talk about as we go through this little tutorial. I've got my natural collection of paints. I've got the natural greens here. I've got them all here ready to go, so you can kind of work with those, or you can use your primary colours, which is yellow, red and blue. You could use those should you wish. Brushes wise, I've got Matthew Palmer Super Points at least to start with, which is roughly around 20, around 10 and around 6. I'm going to go straight into this. No expense spared. We're going to go straight into this one. Let me tell you, straight in. And we're just going to use water with the biggest brush and literally wet the paper here. So we're going to wet the page from top to bottom. I have got a very slight tilt on the board, but what you could do yourself is pop something like a masking tape roll under the head of the board. That keeps the paint moving. I think it helps in watercolours. Paper wise, this is the new paper that will, I promise, be available on Watercolour TV very, very soon. We are still getting the blocks made for this one, so do bear with us. This is a beautiful prestige paper, 100% cotton, not surface, which is middle grain, £140, 300 gram. That's the weight. So I've wet it. I'm going to wet it probably twice, if not 3 times, with a big brush. And then we'll pop that brush away. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the size 10 brush. Make sure it's nice and clean. I've got kitchen paper here because it is emotional, this painting job it. And we're going to put some colours in. We're going to go for something quite colourful and springy, aren't we? Because we want that Easter sort of vibe. So we've got some yellow here. A nice bright yellow, nice and thick with the yellow. Don't be afraid of strength of colour here as well. So we'll get some yellow, and we're going to twist at the back of this there cottage. So I've tapped the brush on tissue a little bit, and we'll bring some yellow in. We'll get some yellow down here because there's a bit of a stream here, a little pond or something like that. Bit of yellow, just slightly sneaking in, That's the yellow, beautiful. And then we'll clean the brush. Back to the palette, and what we're going to do this time is take some blue. Now the blue I'm using is actually natural blue. I need to clean that. It looks a little bit on the dirty side. Should probably clean the palette as well. People often ask me what palette I use. Well, it's actually a Matthew Palmer Easy Clean palette, but this one is about 10 years old, so it's seen some action. Still going strong though. Size 10 or medium super point brush. We're going to pop some blue in the sky. A little bit of blue. Bring it in, and we'll work that through Now at the minute I'm avoiding the yellow for hopefully obvious reasons. Get some in the water down here. But I'm going to bring the blue into contact with the yellow because I want the colours to mix on the paper. I don't want to get a bit of a... There's a little bit of green starting to creep through in the minute in the landscape, certainly here in the UK. And I want to bring a little bit of green in there because I want it to mix, I want it to spread, I want it to become part of the picture. On the subject to that, I'm also going to bring in some light green, size 10 brush. So here we've got two greens, green and green light. Notice these are Matthew Palmer colours, natural green light and natural green. These are all available on website. We've got green light, there it is, on the tissue, tap it on tissue. Just a touch, and then over here we'll get a bit of green, just mixing with the yellows and the blues so you get variation in colour tone. We'll bring all this together. Lovely bit of very light, very vibrant green I'm working in here, okay, so very colourful. Do stay with us throughout this demo because over the next 30 minutes or so this painting will come together. We'll bring that across here as well. This is purely that light green I'm using, natural green light. I'm tapping it on a bit of kitchen paper. You can see it's very colourful, can't you? Bring it in, get some twist going up here. So all this is done while paper's wet, you see, and it all becomes part of it. Stick it on and then we'll reflect a little bit of that just to say there's a bit of reflection. We're surrounding the cottage with colour, with vibrancy. Beautiful. Now we're going to change the brush here. Tricky bit. We're going to go for the size 6, which is my all-rounder, my kind of worker brush. I love a size 6 brush. It's actually called the Matthew Palmer Super Point Small because it's got that higher level of point on it, as you can see there. But I want to use that, but I want to use the darker green. So this one is called natural green. Yes, you can mix the greens from yellows and blue, but this colour is called natural green. I want to use it quite heavy and bring in for the first time some contrast into the picture. Okay, can't go wrong with this. We're going to go, that's what they all say. I'm going to bring it down there. Yeah, but where's your light? Where's your light coming from? I'll bring that in. It's nice because the paper's still damp, and this is a privilege to have this paper. It will be available as of April 2024 on Watercolour TV in blocks. Okay, so keep an eye out on the website. I'm going to bring it in. We're going to get some flowers in here, so I want plenty of greens in. I love how this is still workable. It's still damp. It makes it really accessible to work on across that edge. The two greens what I've designed are designed mainly for, it's going to be a bit of a yew tree or something, for light and dark shades, basically. That's the plan. So light and dark shades, and what I'm doing here is putting some shadows in to what would potentially be something like a yew tree. Again, you can see the paper's still workable. That makes it really nice, which is good. I want to use the light green. Let's get some more of that dark green. Now I'm working pretty quickly here because it's a demo, but if you want to do this with a bit more pace, that's when you want to be getting involved in one of these upcoming live virtual workshops. Remember, there's one happening very soon on the 7th, actually. On the 7th of April. I'll pop the information on the screen. So if you do want to have a go at this, this is a special one because this is a virtual workshop that's taking place Sunday the 7th of April. Paint a majestic golden eagle soaring over the stunning mountains in watercolours. You can watch it live or at any time. It's yours to keep. It's the big 4th anniversary one, so it's definitely one that you want to be getting involved in. I'm just using this green on its own to put this kind of yew tree in. at the side, making sure things are quite dark around here, make sure the water's edge is quite dark. We've got this little bit of an area here that I would kind of say is a little bit of a... We're going to put some little flowers, maybe some daffodils or something around there, but we'll do that towards the end. So I want it to be very springy, so I've gone for spring colours. I've gone for spring vibrant green, sounds like a vegetable. And that's the mission here, that's the mission. And I'm using this dark green now to put the contrast in, because you need that contrast, right? Twist it in. Yes, you can mix your greens, but there's something nice about having a natural green. Remember that word, natural green, ready-made. I can mix the two greens together, so I get a mid green, as you can see right there. And we're going to be going in, putting something down here. I've got the dark green to bring in should we need to. Again, I'm working pretty quick on this, just bear that in mind, because it's not a workshop, it's a demo or a tutorial, so I'm working pretty fast, but you can watch it back, of course you can. It's yours to keep, right? And I love how it's still wet. It's such a nice thing to have at your disposal of good quality paper. It really is. Makes all the difference. Get a bit down there. Perfect. And then I'm just going to use that green, which is kind of a bit of every green mixed together there. I'm going to use some of that just to pop in a few little reflections, because I would expect to see those reflecting in the water. So I'll bring that in. Obviously we'll reflect the cottage once it's had a bit of time to soak in and dry, but that's looking quite nice at that point. What we're going to do now is bring some shadows into this. We're going to put some darkness in, okay? So we're going to take a little bit of natural grey. Natural grey is the original shadow colour. It's made from blue pigment with a bit of red and a bit of yellow. There is a video over on the YouTube channel on how to mix that grey, but you use so much of it that it makes sense to have it ready to go. So let's just pop a little bit of darkness coming in. So this is just using grey. Again, it's all workable. It's all nicely workable at this point. Work nicely along the edge. It's still damp. Get some shadows in. Where's your light? Can't go wrong, can you, eh? A few spots and dots on the top of here. And then I'm just going to add a few shadows. Cast shadows horizontally across. So that's ready now. That's ready to be dried off. I want to use a heat gun or a hairdryer to dry it off, which is very much like watching paint dry. While that is happening, which will take a minute or so, you can have a quick word from today's sponsor. A big thank you to today's video sponsor, which is connectfibre.co.uk. Make sure you check out the link below for a £60 credit. Yes, the link below will take you to the website where you can get £60 credits against your broadband. Amazing, eh? It really, really helps this channel too. Have a look or check them out at connectfibre.co.uk. If you're looking for a broadband provider who offers both speed and reliability, look no further than Connect Fibre, a leading provider of full fibre broadband who specialise in faster, fairer and flawless internet connections. Unlike some providers who are raising their prices by as much as 7.9% in April, Connect Fibre don't do annual price hikes and never raise the price in contract. Order one of their packages before the 1st of April to make sure you get an amazing price for the duration of your contract. With Connect Fibre, there are 4 great packages to choose from. If you're after the ultimate in hyperfast broadband, the one that I use for doing these live streams and for uploading, it is a life-changing package. The hypersonic package it's called, and it gives you up to 1000 megabits per second. It is superb. I recommend it to anybody. And it's all at an affordable price as well, ensuring streamless streaming and ultra-fast upload and download speeds. There's also Connect Fibre TV service, which can be added to the Hypersonic package. The TV features hours of video on demand streaming services, as well as TV, there's phone and mesh service too, spreading the internet throughout your property. The service is currently available in my hometown of Bolsover and other parts of Derbyshire, Cambridgeshire, Essex, Nottinghamshire and Yorkshire, of course here in the UK. Connect Fibre, faster, fairer and flawless internet. Check out their website connectfibre.co.uk for availability in your area and for more information. And do make sure you click the link below in the description for this video, because it'll give you £60 credit and really help this channel. Big thumbs up and a big thank you to Connect Fibre. Let's crack on. Nice and dry, nice and dry. That's giving me time to use a heat gun or a hairdryer. That is nice and dry. The colours are there, the vibrance is there. We're going to work in the building now, make that the focal point, then bring in flowers and detail. So do stick with this for the next however long it takes. But now it's all at a good chance to dry. So down to the building, let's get the shadows in first of all. We were talking about shadows and we were talking about natural grey. Natural grey is the colour that we're going to use here for the shadows. There it is. Not too thick, medium kind of strength, natural grey, so a bit of water. It looks quite blue, it's quite a cold grey, but that is what it's meant to be. It's made from blue, red and yellow. Again, have a look back on Matthew Palmer's YouTube channel. You will see a little video on how to mix that grey, and you'll see why it's a useful colour to have. Now, we're going to put the shadows in. Yeah, but where's your light coming from? Should we get the light coming down from there? Yeah, let's put it in. Did you wet it? Did you wet it first? Is it me or is it moist? These are all common quotes. If you're wondering why is Matthew ranting on, basically, because these are things people say to me when I go out and about. I don't do so many art group demos now, but I used to do a load of them. And these are all the common questions. Where's your light coming from? I'm going to put that little shadow in, clean the brush on tissue. On tissue, I'm splashing a bit here. It's excitement, that's what that is. We're going to bring it down, bit of water, fade it in, fade it in. Already you can see that shadow, beautiful, beautiful shadow. Natural grey, transparent, clean grey. We're going to go right up into Eve's, her matron. I'm going to go right up in there, come right down there, right to the edge, right to tip, right to tip. And we'll get that shadow. Clean the brush, couple of taps on tissue, and then use a bit of water. Look, I'm using a small super point or a size 6 brush. Super points are just more pointy versions of a less pointy brush. But look how that shadow starts to form. Beautiful, beautiful shadows. And then we'll come down there and we'll go underneath the old eaves. Under there. Put it under there, son. Come down there, and then we'll clean the brush, couple of taps on tissue, and then we'll soften it all in. It's got a bit of an evening vibe to this, and I think that's because of the yellow, the warmth. But look how that already has started to put it together. Let's reflect those shadows. It's important that you reflect the shadows. Yeah, but where's your light? I've got to show you this close up, because a few years ago we had these mugs made by request from people, and these have got famous quotes that Mr. Palmer rattles out. So here we had, "Trust me, I'm an artist." That's a bearded chuff. "Is it me or is it moist?" I've got another one here. What's this one saying? What's this one? "You can't go wrong. Did you wet it first?" And the famous one, "Where's your light coming from?" We are having some 15th anniversary mugs made for Watercolour TV, which will have a couple of the quotes and things on. So if you want to get one of those, make sure you're on Watercolour TV. They'll be available some point in the next couple of weeks. Anyway, enough waffle. Yeah, get on with it. We've got a piece of paper here. It's exciting, isn't it? Bit of paper. We're going to put that on. It's Easter, we're celebrating. We're going to put this parallel to that building there, to that cable end. And we're going to use a bit of water, and we're going to flick horizontally to reflect the shadows. You've got to reflect them, haven't you? Clean the brush, couple of taps on tissue, and then we'll use water just to fade them out at the end. Now if we take a look at that, look how it's picked out the shadow already. Turn it around, tricky bit, and what we'll do here, stay with me, you can smell the excitement. What we're going to do here is put that one on there, put it there, and then again we'll tap it on tissue, and we're going to go in and we're going to do the same similar kind of effect. We're going to go dark, put some dark in, get your shadows in, clean the brush, couple of tappies, and then fade that off to the side. That's just water. But look how it starts to bring out that, it's picking out the dark parts of the reflection. So if you struggle with water, great lesson in painting water. We're going to go up the edge of that building now. We're going to use whatever's in the palette. Bit of green, bit of grey, whatever's here kind of thing. Can't go wrong with this. We're going to go right up the edge. Living life on the edge. That's what we're doing in Derbyshire. We're going to go right down there. Clean, crisp edge. Looking forward to getting some flowers in this. We need some springy flowers, don't we? But we'll get to that. We're going to use the green. I've used that green here, which is the one I used from the earlier bit. We're going to tappy. We're going to get some tapping going off. Put some little bits of foliage. I might even do something like another yew tree, because I like these yew trees. I think they look really nice shape, aren't they? The way you paint a yew tree, you just sort of go out like that. And it might be a poplar tree, but you know, whatever. Put it in, and you get this nice little bit of detail. It all sort of disappears in the old mist on the old vignettes. Nice vignette effect. I like to see these on a picture. They're quite effective. It might not be a yew tree, it might be a me tree, I don't know, but it's some kind of tree. Might be a bush. Yeah. There's a new brush coming out, actually. I forgot to mention this. I forgot to mention there's a new brush coming out on the 1st of April. Yes, you can purchase it should you wish. 1st of April, limited quantity, only available until lunchtime. 1st of April is called the Matthew Palmer Bush Brush. Make sure you check out the website. 1st of April, it'll go live at 8 AM and at 12 PM, done, gone. We've also got some water coming out as well. On the same day, we've got some Matthew Palmer's Watercolour water. Same day, 1st of April from 8 AM till lunchtime, then it's gone. Make sure you jump on Watercolour TV to order it. You must think I'm a fool. You must think I'm a fool. Let's get some shadows in this yew tree, because they are quite dark, these yew trees, aren't they? What we're going to do is bring in some shadows along the edge. I'm going to darken the water's edge, because that's quite important, really. I think we do that. Let's darken this a little bit. So I'll darken one side of that yew tree as well. And I think we can bring in a bit of detail here as well. So we're going to do the essential scale item, which in Mr. Palmer's case is normally a little fence, which, with it being a vignette, can nicely fade off to the edge. We have some stripy paint coming out as well, Stuart. Yeah, so you can buy some tartan paint as well on the same day. Rainbow paint, like the toothpaste, you know, comes out stripy. That's going to be available. Let me know if you want to order some. You're kidding, I've said that sort of thing before and people have. You must think I'm a fool. You must think I'm a fool. Natural grey, quite strong. Quite strong. What am I doing up here? I'm quite strong. Back to this. You can tell me live, can't you? Wrong camera. Wrong camera. That's better. There we go. It's getting a bit surreal here in the Watercolour TV studio today, but it normally is pretty surreal. We're going to put the roofs on. Now what I want to do with the roofs, so we're going to use natural grey, but we're going to add a bit of red to it because it makes more of a slate grey. You possibly can't make that out too much, but there's a little bit of purple a little bit of purple snuck in there. Just a smidgen, just a smidge of purple just popped in there. So we can put these roofs on. It gives you more of a slate colour. So what we'll do here is we'll come right down this edge. Beautiful, right down that edge with this slate colour. Quite strong. Don't be afraid of dark colour, will you? Bloody terrified. Bring it in. Negative painting, which is going around the edges of the areas. And then we'll come across here and we'll go a little bit on the old stripy side. Let's turn this over, tricky bit. What we're going to do here is come down that edge of that roof there. And we'll go like that. And we'll pop some little spots on the tiles. You often see that. Now, that would reflect if you think about it. So how do you work out how far down to reflect it? Well, what you do is you measure from there, from the bottom. So about here. So you do that and then move it down. So about here-ish, we're going to see a little bit of darkness coming in. Not too much, but a little bit of darkness. Just that sort of. So it just captures a little bit of it. I also, that dark edge, which is really nice. You know that dark edge we put in down the side of the building there? I want to reflect that as well, so I'll do that with card, I think. This should work quite nice. This should give us the beautiful depth. If you need to fade it out with water, then you can do, but look at that. Look at that reflection. It's happening in front of his eyes, live from Derbyshire. Now what we're going to do is continue over this side here. Come over here. We'll get this roof on, stick it on, and we'll go right down there. I'm going to fade it into the vinaigrette, let it disappear off into the mist. Can you see that sort of drier brush what I've added? Vignettes, faded edges always work really nice. Never fail to make a nice picture as a vignette. I'm quite a fan of them. Bring that across to there, stick it on there, and then we'll come along here and look and paint in these there tiles of the roof. With a slightly dry brush. Again, we'll get the little bit of detail, but look how that sort of fades into the nothingness. Is that even a real word? Nothingness. Possibly. Possibly not. I'll have to Google it. Come down there. And then underneath the roof, you'd expect to see quite a dark shadow. Beautiful. And then we'll get a little bit of guttering. Yes, living life on the edge. You're going to paint some guttering using that same colour. Now, I'm sticking with this brush, Matthew Palmer Super Point Small. But if you struggle with that, if you want something bigger, oh yes, then you need to be thinking a little bit about changing brushes. But we need to get that sort of guttering in, because even guttering is important, right? Down pipes, it all helps. But that's a drain pipe. That's a 14mm diameter. It's quite small, but it's enough. It doesn't get much rain in this part of the world. And because this extension has been added afterwards, they've had to go for at least a 60mm down there on that one. Are you with me? Do you know what I'm saying, don't you? If you work for council, you'll know exactly what I mean. Let's put some windows in with that same colour. Windows? Yeah, windows. We need some windows. Windows will be dark. We've got a doorway. I like doorways open. You can't beat a good open doorway, can you? Do you know what I'm saying? Inviting, it invites you in. If we do that there, we'll soften that in a minute. But what we're doing here is we're using that same colour, exactly the same colour that we used before. You can make it darker if you want with a bit more grey, but it's pretty much the same colour, that sort of grey with a bit of red. It'll work. It'll be right. Make sure the windows are dark. Up here, hold the brush like a pen. We'll block these windows in. You can be as neat as you like. We'll put more work on them later. These ones are a bit larger, so this one we'll do like a, this is a bit of a bay window, isn't it? What we'll do with this one is we'll do them slightly L-shapey, with it being a window that's kind of more detailed. We'll do it like an L shape. Enjoy the silence while I do this. I've got to concentrate. Bit of relaxation, bit of meditation. Clean brush, a couple of taps on your tissue, a couple of 3 in that case, and then we'll use water just to feather them away. Feather. Copyright Bob Ross. Feather them. Feather them. Beautiful that. Creates a bit of depth in the doorway, the same as well. Use Watercolour. It's all natural grey, 50 shades. We'll get a shadow at the bottom of there. We'll darken a little bit. I'm looking forward to getting some flowers in this. Springy flowers. And I want to darken that side of the chimney as well. The dark side of the chimney. That is an album by a 70s progressive rock band. Not Genesis. Another one. Pink Floyd maybe. Bit of prog rock. I'm going to put a shadow. You don't have to talk Rolex, Palmer. Rolex with a silent B. Let's put a little bit of shadow around these. You've got to entertain yourself, haven't you? Yeah, I know what you mean. Clean brush, and then just use a bit of water. Just to soften those shadows in a bit. But look how that building's coming alive. It's alive. We're going to dilute the grey. Have you been drinking, Palmer, today? No, I haven't. We've got some grey here. I've had a coffee. It was a double espresso as well. Double espresso. It was pretty strong, to be fair. Pretty strong. It's a good job you can't put thumbs downs nowadays, isn't it? We're putting little flicks. Seen them in concert. Little flicks. We put in bits of shadows around the side of the cottage and little flicks for stones. You can just about make those out right, barely, but they are there. Trust me, I'm an artist. Just that little sort of shadow representing a bit of stonework, that kind of thing. Look forward to getting white in this. I've got a colour here that's actually part, the two on the edge, just here, there's 2 colours here. You've got skin tone, light and dark. I'm using the dark one. I want to pop that in over there. Beautiful colour. And what we're going to do with that is a few things actually. We're going to paint in the light side of the chimney. We'll paint over the dark side so it fits in, get a couple of pots on. Pot of tea. And then we'll put the window sill and lintels in that colour, because that's a lovely colour. Stands out. It's got a bit of red in that. Again, you can mix something similar from primary colour, so don't worry too much about it. I'm going to pop a little hint of that just in the roof as well, just to say there's a bit of, just that little hint of colour just sneaking through. I don't expect to see a reflection of that roof. No, it's going to be off the picture, so I'm not going to reflect that, but we will reflect these windows, okay? We will definitely. Now that colour, if I was to dilute it down quite a bit, would also be quite nice on tissue. Putting in a little bit of stonework as well, just to get that little hint of a variation of colour. Just a smidge of warmth. You can feel it on the stonework, just where it's a bit dirty in places, dirty stonework, and it just gives it a little bit of warmth. Works lovely against the greens, because greens as a colour can be quite overpowering. So adding something like a red based colour, you could use burnt sienna, or as I call it, burnt sienna, very diluted. I'm using dark skin tone for this. All the colours available on the website, remember that. And it just brightens up, warms up that cottage there. Yes, we're going to reflect that a little bit, so if we measure that, it's going to be very limited. You're not really going to see much of that, but a little bit of colour, just to say we might catch a bit of window in there. Have I got some of that grey left? Yes, I have. That was the colour that we used in the windows. We're going to dry brush it now, like that. And we're going to come straight down from the edge of the doorway. Look how it reflects. Lovely lesson for reflections. If you struggle with water, this one's for you. This one is definitely for you. These windows, yes, maybe a little hint of darkness. It's a bit far back to reflect, but I want to just put a hint of something in there. Will even reflect the little. You see this sort of dry brush, but it's like a flat brush. It's like a flat brush, like almost a spiky brush, and you can really reflect areas of darkness on the edge of a few spots, and it's just a great way of capturing depth. You can see how the water's got depth. Just a little flick like that every so often, and it just gives a bit of depth to it. It really forces you in. That's using grey. Let's put some bearded chuffs in the sky. That's quite a big chuff, to be fair. Couple of three. Stick some birds in. A very dry brush. Work down from under eaves. Again, it's just using that nice dark, bringing in some lovely detail to it. It really does make quite a difference when you do this. Little bits of dry brush work. If you're very careful and your brush is fine enough, you can even get some diagonal lines over the windows, which will help to give a reflective effect. Can you see that nice reflective effect? I also want to go inside that doorway to create the impression as though there's a bit of a recess. Okay, so there's little bits of sort of diagonal lines, even a thin line down the right side. If we're going to make it more of a feature, it'll sharpen it up quite nicely. It will. Perfect. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I'll tell you what could go wrong, putting some flowers in. We're going to do that in a minute or two. I just want to make sure I've got a real dark green here. And just a couple of little bits in the water's edge. I feel we could have a little bit of a, almost a shadow. Some dry brush coming across the ground. Like that. And even some little bits of a bit more spots and dots around here, because this all went in wet, if you remember. Was it moist? Yes, it was. We're going to go in and we're going to spot in some little bits of little spots to represent a few flowers and various bits of detail. Beautiful. Keep thinking of that song by Suede, one of my favourite bands, The Beautiful Ones, every time I say that. I'll tell you what, let's get your smart speaker working at home, shall we? You ready? Alexa, play Beautiful Ones by Suede. Great bit of Britpop. Let me know if it works. Now, while this is going on, while you're watching this paint dry, just let's talk a little bit about virtual classes, virtual workshops. Yes, we have one coming up, as mentioned, on the 7th. Sunday the 7th of April is the 4th anniversary. So these began live in the middle of COVID times. 4 years, and they're still going strong. People love these. Why do they like them? because you can watch them anytime. They're yours to keep forever. Very steady, holding your hand through it. You don't have to be there live. That's another good thing about them. Once you've booked into one of these workshops, they are literally yours to keep forever. So it doesn't matter if you can't make it live. It really doesn't matter. So do jump on to the website, all the W's, watercolour.tv, and have a look at the top of the web page, the flashing button that you can see at the top. That is where you go to take a look at the upcoming one. And as you can see here, it's currently been on the 7th of April. Majestic Golden Eagle soaring over mountains. Going to be a lovely one. A stunning workshop to celebrate 4 years. Also, take a look on the lessons page of Watercolour TV, because that's where you can have access to a streaming service which has been around for 15 years. 15 years worth of watercolour content on watercolour.tv. £50 a year, £10 a month UK. Of course, you can do it from anywhere in the world. There's subtitles on the lessons as well as chapters, and there's a huge catalogue of beautiful watercolour tutorials. Back to this, and we are just literally popping a few little spots and dots around here, ready for some flowers. I'm just going to pick up some dark grey here, still using this small brush. I'm happy to stick with a small brush. I think I've just wiped it on a bit of tissue with the now I'll stop, and we can bring in some little bits of detail. We can sort of continue that fence across. It helps to give a bit of scale, a bit of detail. There's a bit of a gate here. A little bit of a gate. You could potentially reflect them. I don't think they'd reflect, if I'm being honest. I think they're a bit too close to the edge. Yeah, we know. And they're there, should you want to. I've darkened around this, the bottom of this yew tree here as well. I'm darkening the bottom of that. I'm just creating a bit more texture, popping a little bit more of a shadow on the chimney in places, a couple of little shadows in there. Might be tempted to put a bit of smoke coming out of the chimney because it's not a smoker's zone here. So how do we do that? Well, what we do is we put a bit of water just in the sky, and you take a bit of grey and you dot it in like that, and you can just about make out a little bit of smoke just puffing away from the chimney. Beautiful, that, beautiful. Just want to darken these reflections of those windows a little bit. And if I dilute the grey down quite a bit on the tissue, I want to add a few little horizontal lines in the water just to say there's a surface. So literally just skimming over the top here. I am tapping the brush on kitchen paper before because I want the paint to spread pretty quickly and have texture at the same time. So you can see that works quite nice, that little bit of a ripply water kind of vibe. A little bit stronger with the grey. Get some final shadows on the cottage here. It depends how far you want to go with it, really. But, you know, just like a little shadow down the edge of the pipe there. We can go dark down the edge of the window. Make sure it's nice and dark down here, down there. Just adding a few little final shadows and things to the actual building. You kind of get the impression that this could be like an old sort of, you know, like a cafe or something, or a little sort of pub or something. And if that's the case, you know, you could put some little signage on. Put some little, because it helps. Something like this, it would, if I put some little very loose impressions of some sort of signage or something there. There you go. That's the menu for the pub, you see. Could be a pub, couldn't it? Palmer's Arms. Or it just could be a nice cottage. Tea room. Got a couple of shadows just casting out from here. Darkening the edge. I'm ready now to bring some white into this. once I put this on, because that's the dark side of that tree, so I'm adding a bit more dark to it to make it look like a lovely yew tree. But I'm ready to put some light into this, I think. That'll really sharpen it up. There we go. Yeah, nice. Sorry, I'm still fiddling away here. Super. Okay, so we're going to bring some light into this, put some flowers into this thing. That'll really make a difference, adding some light. It really will. And there's a few ways we can do this. One way is to take a bit of white paint. I've got my own white, Matthew Palmer white, which is very liquid, very easy to use. This is the new white, so do make sure you pick up the newer one off the website. Another one is to use a nice craft knife. If you've got quite a sharp knife that you could find, that would be quite useful as well. So we'll start off, look at that running away, it's getting exciting, stay. What we'll do there is we'll put some flowers on. We'll put some flowers on in a few ways. We'll do some white flowers first. So we'll take a bit of that white on the tip of the brush, mix it in, and we're going to add some little springy type flowers. I was walking around the other day, and where was it? I'm trying to think where. Oh, it was Alton Towers. Alton Towers, which is a UK theme park for those who aren't sure. And there was some lovely white rhododendrons poking the head through, which was very nice to see. So we can quite easily use a bit of white paint to add some lovely highlights into the cottage around the garden. You can see how much of a difference this actually makes, and literally it's just using a liquid white there. You can see it's running all over the place in the picture. But what we can also do is we can add some colours to this as well. So if you want to get some yellows, you could take a bit of yellow, you could mix some white with it, so you get more of a yellow. Not too vibrant with the yellow, but it's there. So you can add it to a colour to make it opaque. You can do the same with red if you want to go for pink, as we mentioned. We'll put some little sort of creamy yellow flowers around here, just to give it a little bit of colour. Just massively brightens it up, don't it? I'm going to put some red on as well. That'll change it, because we've got a lot of green in this picture, so adding a little bit of a sort of yellow works nice, but red would work really well. And let me get to that stage shortly. So a pretty quick, slightly loose demo here, but still very much an enjoyable thing to do. Changes it, completely changes it. That white paint is great because I'm going to use it in a few other places. If we come back to the palette, let me take a bit of white. I want some red flowers in a minute, but we're just going to take some white at this stage. And what we're going to do is sharpen up the old cottage. We're going to come down here. There's a bit of green kind of spilling over this edge. I want to brighten that edge up a little bit, so I'm going to put a line of white down in a couple of places, just on some of the corners of the cottage. Potentially even just a couple of little flicks in this side to represent a bit of light coloured stonework. Not much, you can see, but that little line of white there just makes that thing just leap off the paper. You could reflect the white as well in the water to increase the contrast. So I'm flicking down that where that window frame is, for example. You could flick down some white in between, and it makes the windows look more as though they are reflecting. But you can just put a few random flicks of white paint down, and it does actually brighten up that area quite nicely. It makes it look more of a reflective feeling to it, which works really well. A little bit down that corner as well. Just slight little increases in contrast. Worth the effort, worth the effort. I just want to put a little bit more stonework on that cottage actually, because I feel it's in a few places. I think it wants a little bit more of that red, so I'm just going to pop a little bit of that on. Just over that side, I feel like it's missing something over there. Perfect. Red, I've got some cadmium red here, which is quite a well-known red. Try it by itself. It'll completely balance the flowers quite nicely. We'll do a little bit on this side here. Don't be afraid of red, especially if you've got a lot of green. It'll really work well with green. So a little bit of red, you can just see it sneaking through the corner there. Perfect. And then if we mix that with a bit of white, it's going to go obviously pinky. That's okay, we can get away with that. And we'll use that just to put a little bit of red, more of a pink. Just working in. There we go. Just completely changes the whole little situation. It just balances things up a little bit, in my opinion, and it makes for quite a pleasing little scene, I think, there. Just sort of looking back at the picture now, I'm just looking at any little bits I think I want to do. I've just grabbed a bit of the grey on the brush. I just want to sharpen up a few little corners here and there. Just going to go in with a bit of sharpen up the windows, pop some little bits of detail on the cottage, maybe a little bit of a circular window at the top, which is quite nice. Sharpen down the edge of that window. It's all going to help. It's going to make this thing more of a, have slightly more detail as a picture. That nice sort of cottage garden feel that you get. And just a few little flicks in the water. Now, what you could do, if you want to get any more light, is you could use a craft knife to scratch the paint off. If I'm honest, I don't think I want to do that. I think the picture looks alright as it is. Just putting a few lines in the roof of grey. This is just strong grey. And make sure we're nice and dark down this edge. Like that. You can see I've gone really crisp dark down that edge. Really sharpened it up. But like I say, if you want to, you can quite happily just go in and add that little bit of extra detail. But I think, as far as the painting is concerned, I think that's made quite a nice, pleasing little watercolour picture there. And we'll take away the masking tape from the picture. But I tell you what we'll do. We've actually got a mount, a bevel mount here. We'll pop that on. It'd be nice to see it in a little frame. There you go. That's a nice little sort of springy vignette there. All done using very minimal colours. Doesn't need too much colour to do something. Little sort of chocolate boxy, pretty little picture. Very easy to do. Give it a go. It all started off with this very simple sketch right here. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, you can add as much or as little detail as you like to this, because the picture is yours. Thank you for watching, really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon. Have a great Easter if you're watching this on the 28th, and happy painting.